This is the Diocese of Truro Hustings for General Synod for the House of Clergy. And this is Anne Brown. Afternoon, Anne. Would you like to take 5 minutes to introduce yourself?
So I'm Anne Brown. I'm a parish priest looking after 5 parishes along the north coast of Cornwall, just below Newquay and all the way down to Porthtowan. So I mainly look after lots of lovely beaches, some of the best beaches in the diocese. Before I was here, I was further up country, still in Cornwall, but in the borderlands, bordering the Tamar. And before that, I served my curacy in the Provost team just outside Truro. So I've been in Cornwall for over 30 years now, and very much enjoy being here. And I have served on General Synod for the last 5 years. Don't know what more you want to say, but that seems reasonable to me.
Thanks, Anne. The question that came up most when we asked colleagues what they wanted to hear about relates to the church and same-sex marriage. What's your view on this, and what will your approach be when considering debate in Synod?
So I am quite willing to say I am a supporter of same-sex marriage. I am actually a convener in the Diocese of Truro for an organisation called Mosaic, which is the movement for supporting Anglicans for an inclusive church. And Mosaic, it seeks a church where all are fully welcomed into the church. I believe that all humankind is made in the image and likeness of God, and that all is declared good by our Creator, that every person has a unique identity and an inherent dignity, which needs to be treasured by the church. So, and therefore I would be supporting that as we come to debate it, but also with listening ears and compassion for those who clearly have a very differing view from me.
Thanks, Anne. The campaigns under the banner Save the Parish have had lots of publicity recently. What would you take to General Synod on the issues that they raise?
So I like to say I firmly support the parish system. I believe in it, but I also believe that the system is not working well for many who have to work within it. I understand the importance of having a presence in every parish, but this needs to be supported by the implementation of strategies which are found within setting God's people free. And I think that work has to be encouraged and assisted. I know that our parishes have so much to offer. You know, their richness and diversity is something that we mustn't lose. But the truth is the system we have at present really isn't fit for purpose. And so some reform is necessary. Yes, I want to save the parish and I want to work towards that. But I really do understand there are changes that are necessary. So I think it's listening to that debate and seeing where that fits within my understanding.
Thanks, Anne. Third question, we received questions relating to the 5 guiding principles and mutual flourishing within the church. Where do you stand on the priestly and episcopal ministry of women?
So I found it a bit of an odd question, really. You know, I clearly support it, but to make it clear, I firmly believe in and actively support the idea of mutual flourishing wherever you sit on that scale, and that all posts in the Church of England should be open to all regardless of gender. So yes, I support and encourage the priestly and episcopal role of women within the Church of England. Why wouldn't I?
Thanks, Anne. Final question. Tell us one area where you would like to make progress in this synod, only one. What do you think is the priority?
I found this really, really difficult. I have to admit, there are just so many issues that really we as a church need to make progress on. Green issues, issues around inclusion, social justice, racial justice, all those sort of things. However, I think all of that I think the thing that the Church of England really needs to work on is the simplification process. Doesn't sound very glamorous or very exciting, but it's a process that the Church of England have been working on for a number of years now, but it needs to continue and sped up in many ways. It's about how the Church of England operates and runs and how parishes can cope within the system. You know, we are under the responsibility, we are required to keep so many rules and regulations that are just outdated. You know, much of our systems were put in place when there was one priest in one parish, or even more priests in one parish. And we're not living in those times anymore. And so much of that work has to be continued. And I think that's really important, especially in rural multi-parishes. The simplification process must be carried forward and, you know, in many ways sped up.
Thanks, Anne. And finally, you know, anything up to 5 minutes if you want to make any closing remarks, if you want to revisit anything from the 4 questions. Over to you, Anne.
I don't think so. I suppose the most important thing for me is that people do engage with the synodical process. We can often find ourselves getting very involved at the parish level in our churches. That's where our hearts are. That's where we are active. But actually, if we don't look up and look out, we are in danger of not seeing what's going on around us. And I love being on Synod, believe it or not. I'm not overly keen on meetings, surprisingly, and Synod does meet a lot, and there's an awful lot of words there. But actually, it's the idea of seeing things within the context of that bigger organisation that is really important. And much of what happens at Synod does have an effect on what happens in everyday parishes. So, yeah, I really enjoyed serving and I would like to serve again.